The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa is a character-driven sandbox beat-em-up RPG, reminiscent of the classic Kunio-kun game series like Shodai Neketsu Koha and River City Ransom from the SNES, with a little bit of Shenmue thrown in.
Thanks.
If you're into the Chinpira manga genre like Crows and Worst, and the Crow Zero movies 1 and 2, please avoid the third one, all the more reason for you to stay and watch the rest of the video. The game stays true to its delinquent roots, as it starts off with a climactic opening where you and your friends do battle with a rival gang. Fast forward a year later, you find yourself in school being criticized by a teacher for your terrible performance in class and the prospect of you not being able to graduate. So the sensible thing to do is to walk out of school doors and immediately light up a cigarette while you ponder about your future. The game is about you, Ringo, and your friends Shiro, Goro, Masaru, Ken, and Shiro's evil twin. Together, you and your friends will go on a drama-fueled adventure of epic high school proportions involving heartbreak, beating up people in cafes, and getting in trouble with the Yakuza. The game manages to mix the beat-em-up gameplay with the RPG elements pretty damn well. Combat is responsive, it's simple, and it's fluid, unless when it's an all-out brawl and you have too many enemies and friends on the screen until you can't tell what's going on until it's too late. Skill progression and leveling happens through street fights, and you increase Ringo's HP by working out. You have 3 schools of martial arts to choose from to learn new techniques. They're boxing, judo, and Muay Thai, each with their own varied skill sets to make combat much more interesting. Reading and studying helps you progress in school, and you also need to pay attention to the hunger and sleep mechanics, which are relatively easy to keep track of. Failure to do so will result in you passing out and losing half a day of progression. The game doesn't hold your hand, it doesn't spoon feed you with much information, and that can be a problem to certain players. And the only tutorial you get is at the beginning of the game explaining the most basic controls. So there are a lot of other mechanics that you need to learn on your own because of the lack of button prompts and information. It took me a while to realize the cigarettes were actually the healing items in the game. Yes, you heard that right. The game isn't without its problems. Numerous times I've had my game crash or freeze, and sometimes the NPCs would do weird, janky stuff like this. There are clipping issues here and there, and the worst glitch of them all is when the music overlaps as you transition through areas or fights. The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa excels in its deep, engaging narrative, its visual aesthetics, and its stellar soundtrack, which will keep you wanting more. This story is about a group of high school boys with a deep sense of brotherhood, trying to find their purpose as they get older. As one of them goes through a period of existential crisis in his life, the boys find out what it truly means to be friends. The story goes from goofy to pretty heavy, eventually culminating into a bittersweet coming-of-age tale, one of betrayal and the philosophical questioning of existentialism. This game is beautiful. It nails its 1980s inspired Japanese aesthetics, from the schools to the streets and grassy fields. Every area has a visual purpose, and it feels lived in with the NPCs going about their day. The map is relatively small, but because of the way it was designed, it felt large enough without it being tedious to get from point A to point B. I particularly love the day and night cycle, as you gaze at the sunlight moving seamlessly across the horizon and you sit back to enjoy the overall melancholic vibe. The game constantly resonates. Thanks for ruining the field strip, dude. The music in the game is amazing. Various ambient, trip-hop, lo-fi, whatever you call the genre, tracks by artists you've probably never heard of blend amazingly well with the game's setting, when it's not doing this. Joking. I'm not gonna say much more other than to let you listen to some of the tracks yourselves. After sinking in almost 30 hours in what's meant to be a 9 to 10 hour game, while going through my second playthrough doing a myriad of the Shenmue and Yakuza-esque activities, I finally realized what an existential open world beat 'em up as described in the Steam descriptions really meant in this game. But I'm not gonna spoil the fun for you. I highly suggest you check this out on Steam yourself. This little gem has a charm that will surely captivate you.